Well, look who's back for more Second Cup. It's me, your host, Tim Heller. My guest on today's episode of Second Cup is voice actor, coach, and alumni of the original Fame High School of Performing Arts in New York City, Alyson Steel. Allie has done hundreds upon hundreds of TV and radio commercials, national, regional, local. You can hear her voice imaging top radio stations across the country and on promos for network television channels. She's done it all, folks. Just a little heads up on some subject matter that we get into on this episode is we talk about union versus non-union work in the voiceover world. Alyson has a lot of experience in this. I have a lot less than she does. However, these are just our opinions, and whichever route you choose to go and whatever avenue you end up finding work, that's your business. We share our opinions. Let's be nice in the comment section and on social media to each other. And if you have any questions or would like to chat about this, let me know. We don't have to talk on the podcast. We can talk offline. Now, get comfy, top off your beverage, and I messed that order up. Now, get comfy, top off your beverage. You know what to do. Enjoy this episode of Second Cup with my friend, Allie Steel. All righty. Alyson Steel, Allie, my friend, my new friend. Thank you so much for coming on Second Cup and hanging out with me for a little bit today.
Fun. Second Cup.
Hey, ooh, heavily meditated. I like that a lot. Lovely. How has your beautiful California day been so far?
Oh, it's been A-okay at 60-something degrees in this winter.
Yep, not too shabby.
You?
It is 51 here in Texas. It's a very cold, breezy 51, but
Awesome.
I'll take it over the ice storm we had a couple weeks ago, so no complaints. So for our listeners who may not know you and know what you do, can you just give us like a quick rundown of who Alyson Steel is, what she does, and then we'll dive into all the fun stuff along the way.
Alyson Steel, voiceover artist extraordinaire in my own mind. I mostly do commercials, promos, trailers, imaging, narration, e-learning, telephony, and whatever else. Like those
so you mostly do all of it.
I try. So yes, for the last
Awesome.
25 or so years.
Yeah, and so with a
one.
career as dense as yours has been, I'd love to go back to the beginning, right? So
Okay.
tell us where you're from and where you went to high school, because I think this is kind of neat.
Aging me. I know it is. It is. I grew up in New York City. I went to the High School of Performing Arts, the original High School of Performing Arts from the Fame School. And I was the last graduating class, actually. Then I went to Queens College and did, the original Fame. Yay. Then I went to Queens College, a commuter school, but I was able to do on-camera commercials, didn't know what a voiceover was. And but they didn't know what to do with me, so every time I booked something, it was for my face, because I'd open my mouth and I'd sound like this at 16, and they were like, huh? You could see their heads go, what the yeah. I'd be like a Burger King 12-year-old, and then I'd be like, hey, and they'd be like, what the? You could see every casting it was very weird.
Yeah.
And joined the union pretty young because the on-camera stuff, and did that through college. The recession hit in the early 90s, went to grad school because I thought, well, why not? I'll just get my degree in dramaturgy. The hell is that?
Super marketable. And it just is a guaranteed like 7-figure check, right?
Sure.
Just like any other theater degree is.
Well, I know. So I'm like, okay, I'll be a smart actor. But then I was like, ooh, I met a guy in grad school, and he was an undergrad. And I was like, oh, okay, if I don't get a job in New York, I'll move to Los Angeles with him. And then the typical story of, I'm going to be an on-camera famous actress.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, because that's what you believed when you went to the high school I went to. And it's true. And then I came out here, and that's when the voiceover bug hit me, because I only had one audition for voiceover when I was young, and I didn't know what to do with the copy. And it was for a young teen, and I sounded like this, and I just was completely all over the map. And I was like, I don't know what this voiceover stuff is, which kind of sucks. But I got the bug out here. I was like, you know what? I want to do voiceover, and the on-camera stuff. I got a few things here and there, but nothing great, a few co-star stuff, which is fine. And then I ended up doing, studying and getting into the voiceover field, probably in 1995.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And what a field to be in.
Yes.
And to frolic in. So,
exactly.
Okay. So backtracking to dramaturgy really quick, because I want to what possessed you to pick dramaturgy? And for those of our Second Cup listeners that may not know what it is, what the
Nobody
hell
knows
is
what
it?
it is. I know. The dramaturg for the stage is what is the equivalent of what an editor does for the film. Is the
Ooh.
easiest way to put it. So you're like like I could read you. You're kind of a knower of like a little bit of everything. A little bit of a psychologist. You also can write dramaturg notes. Like, do you ever go to the theater and they have notes that are not written by the director? They're written by the dramaturg. So they're much of the time they're written by the director, but if they're just notes in there, it's so that you go into the theater what you need to know, but not what you come out knowing.
Yes, it's
And
giving you just a little bit of the given circumstances, a
yes,
little bit of the history, just like a little like amuse
yes,
bouche of what you need to
exactly.
know and to be ready
And
for
being
the
a good
show.
editor, and then also being acting as the audience member, saying to the director, "Yeah, that kiss shouldn't go." For example, yeah, they wouldn't be wearing sneakers in 1842. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you're the one, you act as though for the like the eyes of like the every editor
yeah,
in a sense too. So you're like
that's
acting
great.
as the artist. So yeah, it's a cool thing. I've done it professionally because people have thrown me their scripts, but then I'm like, oh, I'm putting my dramaturg hat on. So, but it does make you a better teacher, which I do on the side now, like by referral only. So
Yeah,
yes, because I learned how to teach, and you kind of get all those. So I didn't know what I was doing. I was 25 or 4 years old or something like that. And I
yeah.
was
I
my
mean,
boyfriend was gonna go get his master's degree, and I was like, "I'll get my master's degree."
yeah, why not?
I know.
It's wild to see where we all end up, and I feel like even now I feel I hesitate to say like, oh yeah, I'm like this is where I'm gonna end up. It's like you never know.
You
Everything that
don't
I've
know.
experienced so far is has not gone according to the plan that I had when I was 25 or 22 leaving college and like I was like, all right, it's going to be Broadway, TV and film, baby. Here we go. Let's
Right?
go. And then my body had other ideas for me and I was like my injury or like my back issues flared up and that's how I ended up here, which is great. I'm not upset at it at all. But so
And you never know what's gonna happen in the next 20, 30
yeah,
years.
yeah. And
Yeah.
this is actually I speaking of things I didn't know would happen, today was February 17th. I found out at like midnight last night that I had won this voiceover competition
Ah,
and am going to VO Atlanta to compete in the grand finale live, which is crazy.
congratulations.
Thanks.
What's
Thanks. It
it
wasn't
for? What kind of competition?
it's put on by Ellie Ray and Deb Monroe, and they have an organization called Get Mic'd, and they have this Ultimate VO Survivor competition that they do. And
I
so I
love
had
Deb.
submitted along with like 1,800 other submissions for. I got selected for the animation and gaming section, and then so I somehow ended up winning that section, and then and now I get to go compete against the winners of the narration an audiobook session and then commercial and promo section, and then they had a Halloween contest as well,
Oh
and
my
so
god.
there's 3 other finalists. So yeah, it's crazy,
Do they
and
fly
but
you
it's
out there?
yeah, yeah, so they're flying me out, they're putting me up, and it's crazy. It's
Oh my god, that's the coolest thing.
right, and completely unexpected. Never would have
Oh,
thought
it's
that I would
so
have made it to this stage,
cool.
let alone get through to the final stage.
Oh
So
my
it's
gosh.
crazy.
And what do you win if you win?
All kinds of demos and coachings, and there's I think there's a like a trip to an orchid farm in Hawaii, and that's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid
Oh.
to go to Hawaii, and I've just
Oh,
been
you gotta
obsessed with it.
go.
And so yeah, we'll see. I think I'm like I'm happy with where I'm at now. My main goal was to get to the like if like my main like super reach goal, not like expecting like I will get to the final. It was if I could get to just to the final so I can perform live in front of my friends, that would be amazing. And that's all I want. And so now I'm like, okay, cool. I've gotten there. The rest is gravy. I mean, this is gravy. Just getting to the stage on Wednesday night was fun.
How
But
cool is that? I love that.
yeah, thanks. So okay, so you mentioned we'll kind of hop around chronologically a little bit. You mentioned that you teach referral only. Uh how is like what is your philosophy with teaching and when people come to you and say like how do I get started in voiceover, what is your approach? Because I know that there's a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas and teaching and coaching and all of that stuff in general for some people can really like ruffle some feathers. And I'm just curious, like what your experience has been and how you go about that.
Well, I first started teaching on, again, referral. Like people would come to me probably 10 years after I started and just like people, but hey, I have a referral. Can you teach them? And it was very like, just stuff I knew. And I didn't really
Mm-hmm.
have any sort of curriculum, but I just taught everything I knew. And one of the guys, it's so funny because I could sometimes tell him like, he's going to be a star. And he is.
Yeah. Can you share
Yes.
names?
God, what is his name? Charles something. He was on
Charles
some,
Martinet. You may know him as
yeah,
Mario. No.
Charles something something. He's a half African American, half Japanese. He's on some vampire show. Darn it, I can't
Cool.
remember his name. Three names. Charles, but gorgeous. And I was like, he's going to be an on-camera star. And then also his voiceover career. I was like, yep. And he was. He did. Some woman from like people would just get referred to me. And this is back in the day when I was living, I was in an apartment and, like teaching out of my room.
Yeah.
So yeah, like out of this, not out of, on Zoom. And then, students would come and go here and there or whatever. And I was still studying too. It was really like a few years ago that like every now and then I'd get like two or three students, but I wouldn't have like a necessarily a curriculum, but I learned from grad school how to teach well and how
Mm-hmm.
to be I'm organized and this and that. But over the years, and particularly even the last 2 years since COVID, I put together like a curriculum. I had to
Mm. Yeah.
because I was getting confused on what did I teach this one and that one. So now I have like a whole thing I go over, and I give them the students everything that I know that I've learned over the years. So
Yeah.
everything I've learned over 25 plus years, even when I study with my mentor and like a few weeks, month ago or two, I uh, I throw it all out there and I'm like, take a thimbleful or take the ocean full. And that's what you're, just try it all out, etc. I really like to be more of a mentor because if they get to the demo process and then they go on to the marketing process, I hold them by the hand because they're sending it out to people who they all know me.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the
Yeah.
agents.
Yeah. Well, and you want to make sure that if you're
Oh my
sending
God.
somebody with your name, that
Oh yeah.
they're doing it the way that that
It
it
can
should be
be
done.
exactly. So I have everything that I've learned as a curriculum, and I really do feel like I've distinguished myself from other people because I don't market.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many voiceover actors out there right now that are teaching, like throwing it out there that are like, oh my God, I need the money. I need and you could tell like, it's just and I don't, I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to
and
do it that way.
everybody's got their own bag and their own way to kind of make ends meet, and it is yeah, and so it's I think it's admirable that you aren't marketing yourself, and for the people who are, good on them too. But
Good on
it
them.
is the important thing is that like the the people that are out there saying like, hey, let's get rich quick and I'll help you do voiceover, I
Oh,
guarantee you'll do six figures in your first year if you just do this. It's like, oh man, that's rough. But
no,
hey,
no,
if
no.
you do six figures in your first year, fuck yeah. But
Yeah,
for the most part, it's starting a new business, and those
it
take time to
is.
build and grow. And how have you seen, what are some of the major shifts that you've seen in the voiceover industry
Oh
since you
God.
started, besides like
So
outside of just going remote, right? Because not
ah,
just like it's some small change. It
that's
was a massive
huge.
shift with the pandemic, but what are some things that you've seen change that have been giant, and then what are some things that have really like rung true throughout this whole experience that you've had?
Okay, so first, tangentially, and get piggybacking off the last question, I teach like my teacher teaches, which was very on a
Mm,
psychological level. So I
mm-hmm.
try to be like her protege going on to that, and all my other teachers. But how have I seen it change? Like you said, we don't go into an office anymore. That's a huge, because if I'm driving 30 minutes and driving back for 30 minutes, and then potentially waiting 5 minutes to an hour and a half, that's your whole
Yeah.
day. Nothing was done technologically like this. It was all no, you didn't have to
Yeah.
know any of it.
And it's
And then
great because you can be anywhere, but also,
yeah,
and speaking to the commute, like when I was in New York, I'd spend 45 minutes to an hour going to a studio for an audition that would take 15 seconds and then have the rest of my either like another hour and a half back home, depending on the time of
Yes.
day, on the trains, or like going to work or having to figure out all of that. But on the flip side, it's now
Yeah.
you don't get to see people.
No. Except this way, which is really
Yes,
nice.
which is lovely, and it's amazing, but there's like that in-person aspect of like just having somebody even just on the other side of the glass that you can just like high five on the way
Yes.
out.
It's a little harder to earn the same amount that I was, like I'm working harder than
Yeah.
I was. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot more people. It's a little bit more glutted, but there's more work. So it's kind
Mhm.
of potato. Like it's really hard to, but yes, definitely working a little bit harder. And so I think people getting into the industry feel as though, oh, it's going to be easy. And then I'm like, okay, well, teach me accounting in 3 months. You know what I mean? Like, so I start
Yes.
to get a little insulted, but I actually throw it back at them. And I'm like, all right, well, tell me everything you know about your profession in 1 hour a week for 3 months.
Yeah, it's interesting that I've come across this a lot recently with a couple of clients that have said, hey, can you just throw this like video together for me? It shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. I'm like,
I
I
can.
understand why you would think that, because it may look that like some graphic elements look simple, and they are, but the execution of it and putting it together and timing it out and getting it color graded or getting the right branding, the right messaging, writing the copy, it's insane. It really takes a lot more time than that. And so having clients that have their own wonderful, beautiful strengths in more like traditional quote unquote jobs in the corporate world that will come and say, hey, yeah, like I want to do this. Just tell me how to do this real quick. I'm like, I can.
Yes.
I can tell you how to do it, but it's a question of like putting in the reps of
Oh,
like
yeah.
just talking to a camera and say, like how weird that is, and trying to speak to a camera in a conversational tone, let alone read a script in a conversational tone, which is the bane of so many voice
I
actors'
know.
existence.
But everything's gotten faster too. Like we've
Hmm.
accelerated life. So, there's now instead of having 3, 4 auditions a day, there might be 10 or a bunch of, everybody wants
Yeah,
everything
no
fat. That
kidding.
also has changed a lot. So again, more work, but more work, if that makes any
Yes,
sense.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
it
as,
absolutely makes sense.
yeah, one of my colleagues was like, "Oh my god, back in the day." He keeps talking about back in the day, and I think he really misses it because he'd do a few gigs a year and make $100,000, and now it's like, no, that doesn't. Unless there's a few people out there, yes, they're still doing
Hmm.
that, but it's not as often.
It's fewer and further between, and it is, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the dream, and like you said, there are still opportunities like that out there, but now that things have moved more towards these full buyouts, either in perp or in purpose in perpetuity, for people listening who may not be familiar, just means that they like own the rights to that content forever. But um how have you navigated those changes and those shifts as you've seen them happen, and how do you go with the flow and keep working in the fashion that you are?
I was lucky in well, I don't want to say lucky. Opportunity meeting preparedness is luck, right? So, 20 years ago when there was the actors strike, I knew it was the year 2000, and it was all union. And the minute they had it was an on-camera strike, but it was also affected voiceover, and it lasted probably for 6 to 9 months or something like that. I was on the picket lines because again, been in the union since I was 16, and I was all like,
Mhm.
and I just that summer I was like, oh my god, it's gonna all go non-union, and
Mhm.
one of my biggest regrets is turning down all these jobs that I was offered, and I saw the train coming, and my whole when you have an instinct that's just like there's a few times in your life that you get it was one of those times, and I'm like, "Learn it. Learn the technology here. Learn everything you can." And that's how I dealt with it. I just leaned right into it. You gotta lean into it, though. You have to be
Yeah.
one of those people who, like, not, "Oh, I wanna do voiceover 'cause it's so fun." You have to enjoy the marketing or, at least lean into it and
You gotta,
do
yeah,
all the
get
work
get your
and
hands a little dirty and figure it
yes.
out. I hate the direct marketing side of things, but that's how I landed a bunch of my clients that
Uh-huh.
have allowed me to go full time for the past couple years. And
Isn't
and
that
those client
awesome?
and then now I don't have to do it as much because those clients turn into word of mouth referrals, and those turn into referrals to management or agents or whatever that may be, and the ball gets rolling, but it doesn't start without pushing it real hard.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I'm sure, well, you don't have a lot of off time and I don't usually, but I still guerrilla market,
Yeah.
and it works, and it's just, but one of my a friend said, or colleague, I hope your students enjoy marketing, because you're going to be doing a lot of that. And that's how it's changed as well. You didn't have to do that back in the day.
Yeah.
It just wasn't
Yeah.
one of those things. But if you lean into it, and it's like you have to have a hunger and a passion for it. You can't imagine not doing anything else. That's
Yeah.
how. So, but did I lose a lot of friends in the beginning? Oh yeah. I had friends who were like, "Stop doing non-union," and I was like, "If you pay me $100,000, I'll stop."
Yeah. How did you navigate that? And I mean, I know you mentioned that that gut feeling that you had was to shift towards that, and
Oh
there are
yeah.
still it's fewer and further between folks who are so adamantly non-union. And I had to join SAG yesterday, and so finally,
Congratulations.
yes, thank you. And it's
Mm.
like, and then going FICOR relatively quickly, because you have to be able to do both nowadays, unless you are
Yes.
some of those people who are just like fucking raking in those fat 7-figure residual checks every year, every other year. And the important thing too that I want people listening to this to take away from this is that, these are our unique experiences with it. And I am not an expert. You know far more than I do about union versus non-union work, and about voiceover in general, just having the experience that you do. But if you are a voice actor or actor, or I guess actor that is looking at either of those options, like really do your research, and
Yes.
like seek out as many different opinions as you can, and really make the best decision that is for you in your situation.
And here's the
Um,
thing. You could do non-union and convert it to union. I know plenty of people who do that.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
done that
and
with
like,
with a few jobs myself.
mm-hmm.
And great. Here's the thing though, you're going to lose 40% of the money.
Yeah,
So that
but
sucks.
if it is a situation where you need the pay to qualify for SAG healthcare, and it's an
Mhm.
audiobook, or it's you are the only person in that production, or you can do it somehow,
Yeah.
then explore it and find a paymaster, and do all of that.
Absolutely. So there's ways to circumvent it, but it's just like you said, the people who poo-poo it, when 85% of those, or 75% of the work is non-union.
Yeah. Nowadays it's
Yeah.
it's a different story.
And I will say I know the tops of the tops, except for that one guy, that have all done non-union. I've even recommended them for non-union jobs, and they've taken them.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's crazy. It'll be interesting to see where things go in the next five years. And
like AI.
I mean, yeah, sure, we can talk about AI. Let's dive into
Ugh.
that.
Oh dear
What
God.
I think it's interesting because, like, I did some research when I first started hearing about it, because I was like, okay, cool. I feel like this is something that I should at least be curious about, because it is ruffling feathers and all of that, and I just want to know more. And I ended up making an AI model of my voice with then it was Vocal ID and Rupal Patel, and they've since been acquired by Veritone, just because they were working with producers and actors that I know and trust, and I'm like, okay, cool. If I can vet them through these people, and knowing like that this is like a strictly like enforced, it's a really protective contract that you're in. It's not like, oh, we've got in perp rights to your voice. But yeah, I mean, what has been your experience with how
Huh.
that shift has happened here? And if you
I
prefer not
mean,
to talk about it, we don't have
oh
to talk
no, I
about it.
think
I just feel like it's an
it's
important
wild.
thing
It's
to talk about, and there's so
oh,
many perspectives on it that are valid.
it's happening. And even the other day, about a week or two ago, I had a session, and they were like, "Here, just listen to this voice. We don't want the accent." She was doing a British accent. She and I went, "Oh, well, why don't you just use her? She sounds great." And they went, "It's AI." And I couldn't
Yeah.
tell. Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing. I've spoken to several clients, and they gave me their opinion. I agree. They were like, "We can't." And I said, "Where do you think it's going?" Because I'll ask them, because to me, we're the voice actors. I want to ask the clients what they think. They can't direct, so for the nuance. So everybody
Yeah.
says that voiceover is going away. I don't buy it. For
I don't
certain
think so.
things, maybe,
Yeah. I feel like with the
but
advent of like Chat GPT and some of the really
yes,
cool tools that are coming out, it's showing us that, like, wow, cool. Yeah, I think the base level stuff it's going to replace, and
agree.
not, but I don't think it's going to replace those industries as a
Mm-mm.
whole, because it
No,
really is like, I've messed around with Chat GPT, and I think it's a really unique tool. And I think if you know how to use it the right way, it can really be an asset to your business, and in lots of different ways. It takes some of the guesswork out, but what it doesn't take the place of is the human aspect and that really specific nuance, whether it's writing or drawing or painting or photography or voice. And that's, it's, I think it AI voices are a cool tool for companies and for voice actors to explore, but I do not believe that it's going to replace
I don't think so
the
either. I'm
voice
with you
actors who are
100.
really in it for, like, I want to grow a business, whether you're starting today or you started 25 years ago.
I
There's
agree.
room for everybody who really wants to be doing this. So it's just a matter of growing and kind of moving with the waves as they come up.
I
And
agree. Like you can't get the nuance with GPT, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah, is it gonna, like you said, you perfectly said it. It'll fit some things, but I don't think it's ever gonna completely take over.
yeah, yeah, at least not, hopefully not in our lifetime.
Lifetime. I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like,
Well, Allie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit and hang out with me and have a
oh
little
my God, it
party
was my
together on the
pleasure.
show.
So
Before I
fun.
cut you loose, I have two questions for you. First question
Okay.
is, where can people find you, and what do you have coming up that we can promote?
Let's see, AlysonSteel.com, but spell it correctly. ALYSONSTEEL, no E at the end.
Great. We're
Yeah.
going to include that in the episode
You
notes below.
I know. And so that's where they can find me. And what do I have coming up? A lot of fun like PSAs where I sound like an old lady, like called Melon Heads. I wish I could hear it. I know, and some like stuff for the streaming Colorado lottery, and some books that I got. It's like when you read it and then it goes out of your head, and that's
Oh,
what you just
absolutely.
caught me in. Deer in headlights.
Yep. At first, when I started, I was like, I'm never going to get to that point. I feel like I'm going to, like, cherish
You
every job.
did.
And now it's like, I do cherish every job, and every job means a lot, but there's also like a million irons in the fire that I'm waiting to get hot. So sometimes I'll forget.
Exactly, exactly. Like, what am I going to read now? The Allegro Foundation video, like,
Nice. Yes.
but yeah, any like major stuff, probably like, yeah, again, like it's streaming, so it's hard. And like I said, I can't even remember what it was yesterday, but
Yeah. And
it
like
was
you said earlier,
something.
everything's moving faster. It's clipping along. The turnaround times are crazy. There are like movie
Yes,
trailer auditions I'll get that are like, we need this ASAP, and it'll
yes,
record today.
yes.
Wild. I mean, I guess that's similar to how it's been
Yeah,
for a minute,
that the
but that's
trailers
that's
are for
one
some
example.
reason.
That's one
Yeah,
example of like, whoa, this is crazy pacing.
send it in now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, second question I have for you is, surprise, it's four questions. So I like to do these quick fire questions with folks as we close out the episode.
I
So
love
all
that.
this is whatever comes to your like top of mind first, short and sweet answers.
Like James
And
Lipton type of thing, or whatever his
yeah,
name
I
was.
guess similar to that. I never thought about it like that, but
Yes,
it
I
is kind of
love
that.
those.
So,
Okay, I'm
okay.
ready.
So first question, what's a
Okay.
nickname that you had as a kid growing up? Could be from your parents or your friends.
Oh God. Schmitzen was from my mom.
Okay.
I
Love it.
know.
Schmitzen.
And one
Uh,
friend, Alyson Steel, but that was when I was a little older. Yeah, I know.
Who inspires you right now?
Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin.
Mm, yes.
They're
Love them.
85. I mean, it's not voiceover, but like they're the older
They're crushing
women.
it. Yeah. They're doing it.
Like we should not be to the younger ones. We need to the older people.
Yeah. Love it. What's a piece of content that you can't get enough of right now? That can be a book, a YouTube creator, could be a movie, TV show.
Oh my God. Okay. Anything having to do with Ashtanga yoga. I go down
Awesome.
rabbit holes.
Love
I
it. Just
know.
the entire practice of Ashtanga yoga. Valid
Like where
answer.
I'm at in my series. And I'm like, how am I? Yeah.
Amazing. And the last question, this is a heavy hitter. You can only have pizza one last time.
Oh
Where
no.
from and what's on it? And there are no dietary aftermaths if you have any allergies or sensitivities. It's just like you can pick anything and everything that you want, and there's no tummy issues, anything like
Oh
that.
yeah, no tummy issues. New York one of
Okay.
the Upper West Side pizza places. I can't remember what it's called, and I love all the stuff on it. Like all the veggies, like broccoli, all both to peppers, mushrooms, spinach.
Was it Two Boots? Did you have
I
was
don't
Two Boots pizza?
know.
There was a bunch of Two Boots places that they had like this whole wheat crust and just like chocked full of veggies, like
Mhm.
full heads of broccoli on a slice of pizza.
Oh my god. And then extra sauce, and yeah. And it could be Sicilian type too, but oh my god, yeah.
Just a full, like a big fat slice of New York
Oh my
style,
god.
fold it in half and
Oh,
get at it.
so good.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, Allie, thank you again, and I'll include all of the information in on how to find you, how to get in touch with you for coaching or whatever that is, or however you want people to get in touch with you
I
in
hope
the
we get to
episode
work
description.
together soon.
Oh my God, I do too.
That'd be so
It's bound to
fun.
happen. There's so many jobs
Yes.
out there. Our paths will cross in person
I
and
hope
through
so.
Source Connect at some point soon.
Yay.
Well, thank you again, Allie,
Thank
and
you.
I'll talk to you
Thank
again soon.
All right, sounds good.
Woo! One more episode of Second Cup is in the books, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode with Alyson Steel. To keep up to date with everything that Alyson has going on, you can follow her on social media at Alyson Steel on all of the different channels. We also have the correct spelling of her name in the show notes below. If you're interested in coaching with Alyson or learning some more about her, you can go to her website, www.alysonsteel.com. Thank you so much to my Second Cup family, Julia Shepard Morgan, Tara Seuss, Aubrey Bursey, and Sarang Sharma for running everything behind the scenes and allowing me to be a somewhat sane human being during the week. To stay on top of everything that we have coming up, and we have a lot coming up soon here, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a comment or a review. It helps us a lot, and who doesn't love a little bit of constructive feedback, huh? Tune in next time for another amazing conversation with a really cool person. Bye-bye.